So guys, today and tomorrow, 2 days I'm going to take to explain one real-time application, that is the e-commerce real-time application. So let us proceed and understand how we can develop real-time application using ASP.NET Core MVC, which is also going to use Entity Framework Core as the data access technology. SQL Server is the backend database. Also, I'm going to use some kind of CKEditor for rich text editing. IronPdf, what is one package or library, that is what I'm going to use for generating the PDF file. So, and definitely to make the right user interface looks more beautiful, professional, I'm going to use some kind of a bootstrap CSS. So, in this real-time e-commerce application, what we are going to do, we are going to manage the customer orders, and also we are going to generate the invoices dynamically, right? So let us first understand what are the functionality and features we are going to implement. Then I will show you the pictorial flow or representation of the different pages that what we are going to discuss. And then finally, we are going to start developing the application one by one. So first of all, we are going to develop one user authentication and authorization module. So basically, we will provide one authentication controller. So that authentication controller is going to provide the authentication functionality. I mean, starting from registration, one registration page we will develop where the customer is going to register. One login page we are going to develop where the user is going to log in himself. And that for login, right, so we are going with the cookie-based authentication. You can go with the identity, you can go with the right other authentication mechanism, but for here, we are going with the cookie-based authentication, and we are also going to provide right logout functionality where the user can log out, right? And whenever the user registered or whenever the user going to log in, those data we are going to store in the database. And at the same time, whatever the username password the user is providing for the time of login, at the time of login, those information, those credentials, we are going to validate with the stored information. That is what we have stored in the database, right? So that is what we are going to discuss. And again, that admin access is also there. There are two types of a user. One is admin user who can access some of the right operations. At the same time, we can have also admin user who is going to manage the template. Means in this case, right, how the template should looks like, right? That is what how we can dynamically manage, how we can create the templates dynamically. So that is what I'm going to discuss, and that template management is going to be right managed by the admin. So admin, I will show you how he can create a new template, how you can modify the template, how you can provide the placeholder so that that the placeholder is going to be replaced with the actual value. That is what going to be managed by the admin. And customer means customer can proceed and place the order. So now, as part of the customer order and payment flow, what are the things we are going to provide? We'll provide the user with the order creation. The order creation means the customer going to add item, he can remove item, he can increase the quantity, decrease the quantity. All these things we are going to provide. So once the informations right, the system is going to check, validate, calculate, right? If everything is fine, one order is going to be created in the database. So once the order is created, next what we need to do, we need to process the payment. For payment processing, right, we are going to provide a page where the user will select what payment option he wants to implement, right? Whether he wants to go with the credit card, PayPal, or cash on delivery. Accordingly, we are going to simulate the order processing status, right? So actual payment gateway we can implement. So what we are going to do, we are going to simulate. For example, if the payment method is credit card, the order is, I mean, the payment is going to be completed. If the payment method is PayPal, the payment is going to be cancelled. If the payment method is right COD, then the order is going to be in pending state. So that payment gateway simulation we are going to implement. Once the payment is completed or cancelled or pending, right, then what we need to do, we need to generate the invoice. That invoice we need to email to the customer, right? And for this purpose, what we are going to do, so we are going to store the invoice HTML template in the database. In the database, one HTML template is going to store. So that HTML template we need to fetch from the database. Whatever the placeholder, for example, that template is going to contain something like customer name, order date, payment method, right? Order number, customer details, order item detail, all these placeholders are going to be there. So these placeholders, whatever are there, they are going to be replaced with the actual data. And after once we replaced all this thing, right, then what we need to do, we need to email this invoice to the customer email ID, right? So once the email ID is sent, then what we need to do, we need to redirect it to the order confirmation page. If the order is placed successfully, we need to display the success message. If it is cancelled, we need to display the cancelled message. And for the case of pending, we need to intimate that your payment is in pending state. So that information we also need to provide in the order confirmation page. But before that, we need to send the invoice to the customer, right? So at the same time, here also we are going to provide the order list page. From that order list page, the user can right, view all of his orders, and then right, he can also have the option to download the invoice, right? That is what we are also going to discuss, right? So now next one is admin management of invoice template. So basically, for different kind of right, for our system, we are going to create different types of invoices. For example, if the order is in pending state, we want a different invoice. If the order is completed, we are going to create a different invoice. If the order is cancelled, we want a different invoice. Similarly, if you want, you can also create invoice for payment success, payment failed, payment pending, right? So for example, you want to create one template for the customer registration, forgot password, right? For each and everything, if you want, you can create one invoice, right? That is what we are going to provide the flexibility. But at the same time, this invoice management, right? Invoice management in the case, create one invoice, edit the invoice, delete the invoice, can only be managed by the admin. No other user can do all these things. Only admin user, they are going to manage this thing. Clear? And the invoice, whatever invoice we are going to create it, they are going to have some kind of a placeholder. But what are all allowed placeholder? That information we also need to tell to the admin while the admin creating and updating the invoices. Hey admin, these are the placeholder. Please use this placeholder as part of the template. Apart from this, any other placeholder if you are using, they are not going to work altogether. I mean, you will not get any error, but they are not going to contain the actual data. So let us proceed, right, before implementing this application, let us first see the different pages. So you can see this is going to my customer registration page. Here we will ask the user to enter the full name, email ID, password, phone number, and billing address. So once the user provided all this information, he can click on this registered button. So once the user click on the registered button, if all the provided information is valid, the user account is going to be created and he will be redirected to the login page. This is my login page where the customer need to provide his email ID and password, and then click on the login button. Once the provided credential are valid, the user will be logged in, and once the user is logged in, then what we need to do, we need to redirect the user to the order list page. So in this case, whatever the orders provided or placed by the order, all these order are going to be displayed here, like the order number, order date, whatever the status, total amount, and the download invoice. So here, if you click on this download invoice page, so that invoice, completed invoice is going to be downloaded. So in this case, a cancelled, so that a cancelled invoice is going to be downloaded. In this case, that the pending invoice is going to be downloaded. That PDF file, it is going to be downloaded, right? And when the user wants to place an order, right, then it will be come to this page, whatever the product the user is selected. So this screen will come here. Here you can see plus and minus button are there. So if you click on this plus button, then this quantity is going to be increased by 1. Minus means it is going to decrease by 1. So once it becomes 0, you cannot click on this. I mean, if you click on minus, then nothing is going to be happen. And if you want to remove this item altogether from your card, right, then what you need to do, you can click on this remove button. But at the same time, whenever you are doing some kind of a remove option or a plus minus, right? That amount is also going to be calculated dynamically here. So here, if you increase the quantity, dynamic item total will be there. And at the same time, that grand total is also going to be calculated here dynamically. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right? Then once you click on this place order, then what will happen? it will be redirected to the payment page. So in the payment page, it will ask you how you want to make the payment. Right here, I have provided one drop-down list. For simplicity, here the drop-down list is going to contain few options like credit card, PayPal, and COD. And once you select the option, for example, we want to simulate that payment is going to be success when the payment method is credit card. So once you select the credit card and pay now button, click on the pay now button. So the payment is going to be done. You will be redirected to this order placed successfully page, right? Here you will see what is the order number, what is the order date, what is the status, how much amount you paid, and what are the products, right? You selected as part of the order. So here, once you come to this page, you can also view the invoice. At the same time, right, that invoice is also sent to your email ID. So on your email ID, you will get this message that thank you for your order. Your order number has been completed successfully. Please find your attached invoice. And once you click on this PDF file, right, that invoice is going to be right what I can say. You can view the invoice. Similarly, this is my invoice template section, right? So this is going to be only for the admin user. So once the admin log in, then he will be redirected to this invoice template section. Here, whatever all the invoices are available, so the list it is going to display. What is the template name, type, when it is created. This template name and type, this template name means it is a user defined name, and this is the name which is already provided by the system. That means whenever you are going to create, you have to select one of this invoice type. Then this is created by whom when it is created. And if you want to edit or delete this invoice, and if you want to create a new invoice, suppose you want to create a new invoice, you have to click on this create new template button. This section will become here the template name. You can give me anyone. And what type of a template is this? Or red payment success, payment failed, payment pending, order success, order failed, order, right? Whatever the template you have to select. And here you have to provide the HTML content, right? Whatever the HTML content that what you want to make sure based on which your invoice is going to be, I mean, your PDF is going to be generated, that HTML template you need to provide. And in the right hand side, it is saying what all allowed placeholders you can use as part of the template. Suppose customer name, you want to provide the customer name in as part of the template. In new area you want to provide, just use this placeholder. Similarly, order date, order number, order start, status, product list, total amount, payment status, payment date, payment method. So all these informations are provided. Using this information, you can create your HTML template. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right? Similarly, you can also edit the invoice, right? For editing the invoice, right? When you click on this edit invoice button, this page will come where you can edit the amount of the invoice, right? And similarly, if you click on this delete button, then this delete screen is going to become here. It will ask you, do you want to delete this template? This cannot be undone. And if you click, then this invoice is going to be deleted. And for to implement this example, as I already told, right, we are going to use ASP.NET Core MVC. We are going to use Entity Framework Core, SQL Server as the database, a different PDF generation library. We have already discussed two. One is it iText7, another one is Rotativa. And this time I'm going to use IronPdf. But guys, remember, this IronPdf is not free. For this purpose, you need to buy the license. 30-day trial period is there, but after then you have to buy the license, right? Then this is my CKEditor, and this is my right. So even CKEditor, I'm going to CKEditor nothing but this editor template what it is showing, and then it is going to have this bootstrap for making the right user interface looks more professional. I'm going to use bootstrap. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Anyone having any question, guys? Anyone having any question?
Sir, for the Iron PDF, you said we are going to buy it. It's not free, as in the Iron PDF.
So what is iron PDF? You just tell me what is iron PDF.
No, no, you said you are going to buy it. You said we are going to buy it. It's not free. It's not free. As
See,
in, how do we?
what I'm saying, the
Yeah.
trial version is there.
Okay, okay,
But right for the production use, you need to buy the license.
okay, okay.
If you are
Thank
going with the free version, then you can go with that rotative library.
you.
And
Okay.
how to use rotative, that's what we have already discussed, right?
Yeah. Mm.
So I'm going to make you understand that different kind of PDF generation libraries, whichever you want to use, you can use as per your right requirement. Now, let us proceed and see how we can develop this application step by step. So let me first develop the application. So once you create the project, please install these packages. So one is Entity Framework for SQL Server, one is migration, another one is IronPdf. So this IronPdf, right, it is one of the package that what you can use. But for this purpose, you need to buy the license. Okay, this is my the first package I have installed, which is the Entity Framework or SQL Server. The second package is the migration package, tools package. Third one is the IronPdf package. So let me go ahead and install these three packages. Right, so here, right, you can see. Right, once you install, so IronPdf is a .NET library to generate, edit, and save PDF file in a .NET project. IronPdf features HTML to PDF, right? IronPdf features HTML to PDF or .NET 8, .NET 7, .NET 6, .NET 5, Core 3.1, and whatever they have provided, they have supports. And this .NET Framework 4.6.2 with full HTML to PDF support, including CSS and JS, right? All these things they are providing. So now let us proceed and start our application development. First of all, what we need to do, we need to create the project. So now, right, so we need to create the project. So first of all, what we need to do, see, whenever we are going to create the, what I can say, a template, right? Whenever I'm going to create the template, so here the user will select the template type. What type of a template the user, I mean the admin can provide. So he cannot provide anything. So whichever template supports provided by the system, only those templates are going to be created by the admin. So whatever all templates are going to be, whatever all templates are going to be created by the admin. So for that purpose, what I'm going to do, I'm going to generate one enum that is invoice template type. So this invoice template type is going to tell what all invoice templates are going to be created by the system or by the admin. So in this case, I'm going to create one class file within the models folder. So in this case, invoice template type. So to this class, right, what I'm doing, I'm just providing all these informations. So these are my templates types. So apart from this, you want to provide something, some different template that is payment success. So you can provide here payment, right, failed. You can also provide that template, right, payment pending. That's what you can provide. Right? You can also suppose if you want to create one template for customer registration, that's what you can also provide. So whatever template supports you want to provide, which must becomes right as part of this drop down list, then those information you need to put within this enum time. So this enum type is going to tell what all right templates are going to be supported by the system. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right. So next one is order invoice template. So this order invoice template means it is going to store the template data. So template data in the sense, right? So this is going to tell what all template types are going to be supported. But in the database, right, we need to store this information. What is the template name? What is the template type? What is the template ID? What are the HTML content? Who created this template? When created this template? Who updated this template? When this template is being updated, right? So this information we need to store in the database. So for that purpose, I'm going to create one entity. This entity is this invoice template. It's a order invoice template. So order invoice template, you can give a generic name instead of a order invoice template. You can give this name as invoice template. That is also fine. So in this case, I'm going to provide this invoice template type. So here this is right invoice template. So in this case, right, if you want to make this class name generic, right, instead of invoice, you can give this as a template type, and here you can give this name as a template, right? So to make this right application looks more real time, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to change this name. So instead of this invoice, so now it is not related to only invoice. So here we are storing the order information, payment information, customer registration, right? So different kind of invoices we are storing. So for this purpose, we are going to give this name as something generic. So whatever the changes I'm doing, let me keep this one here. So again, whatever changes I'm doing, so also let me make this as let me rename this one template types, and this is going to be, so this is going to be my template. Here, so we have created two. So here, this is my template type, defined what type of a template is this, and for that template, right, I need to provide a name, whatever the HTML content, and what is the template type. This is nothing but order completion, cancel, pending, whatever, and then created date, created by, updated date, and updated by. Clear, guys?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right. So next, what I need to do, I need to create my customer model. So let me go ahead and create my customer model. So whatever customer information you want to store in the database, those information I'm going to put here, right? So here you can see customer ID, customer name, email, password, phone number, billing address, and a list of order. For simplicity, I'm storing the password in plain text here, but you know how to store the password in hash format. That is your responsibility. And how to store what in rate hashing algorithm you need to implement, that what you already know, so you can implement. So these are the basic information that what we are going to store. And here, in this case, one customer can have a multiple order. So that one to many relationship also we have defined here. Next one is the product model. So that product data, what we want to make available so that the customer can purchase, those information we are going to store in a table called products. So let me first create that products table. So in this case, what all information I'm storing, guys, remember ID, product name, category, description, unit price, and this product can be part of multiple order item. So that order item collection I have provided here. If you remove this one, then also no issue, right? So this is not mandatory, but later on, if you want to make sure this product is part of which order, then for that purpose, this order items is required. Next, what I need to do, I need to create my order table. So for this purpose, what I'm doing, I'm going to create my order entity. So let me go ahead and create my order entity. So whenever the customer place one order, that order basic information we are going to store inside this order entry. So here you can see my customer ID, which is a foreign key, order number, which is going to be unique, order date, whenever the order is being placed, how many items are there, which is purchased by the customer as part of this order. So that list of order items. It is the total amount, sum of all the order items, that is going to my total amount. What is the order status? It can be pending, completed, or cancelled. When the order is being created and the associated payment information. That what I'm going to store here. Next one is order item. So order item definitely whenever we are purchasing, so it will be part of right. One order can have multiple order items. So those order items I'm creating here. So please observe. So this is going to be my order item. So inside this order item, this is my ID, order ID, my foreign key, product ID, my foreign key, quantity is there, unit price is there, and this is my computed column, computed property, not column. So in this case, for this total, it is not going to create any column in the database, but using this total property, I can access the total amount of this one, right? Quantity into unit price, that total I can access. So this is as it is decorated with not even if you remove this not map, it is not going to create a right what I can say column in the database. Why? Because this doesn't have the set accessor. So whenever we are having a property which either don't have the get accessor or set accessor, then that property is not going to be created as a column in the database. And to ensure it is not going to be created, I am also decorating this not mapped attribute. So not mapped means this property will not going to be created as a column in the database. Next one is my payment model. So that payment information associated with each order, that what we need to store. So for that purpose, I'm going to create my payment entity. So this is my payment entity. So the payment information I am going to store. So what payment information I'm storing? What is the ID? So this payment is for which order? How much amount is being paid? What is the payment method? What is the payment status? And what is the payment date? So all this information I have provided. The payment options, whatever I'm going to take is credit card, PayPal, and COD, and I will simulate for the credit card, the status is going to be success. For PayPal, the status is going to be failed. For COD, the status is going to be pending. That's simulation we are going to do inside our application code. Clear? Whatever all entities we have created, is that clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right. Next, what we need to do, we need to create our DB context. Definitely, it is going to be created inside a different folder, and that folder name we are going to provide as per our standard. That is going to be data. And inside this data folder, I'm going to create a class file, and I'm going to provide the class name as application DB context. And within this class file, I will register all my entities as DB set properties. I'm also going to provide some initial sheet data related to customer and the product. So definitely we are going to provide the customer registration page, but at the same time, I'm also going to create some dummy customer. So here you can see few customer is there, customer ID 123. So here what is important, what is the email? So this must be valid email. This must be valid email because whenever the customer going to place the order, right? So at that time, that email we need to send. For this purpose, I'm using this valid email ID. This is the admin email ID. So, right. So basically, if the user right logged in with this admin email ID, then he can only manage the right. What I can say that template functionality, managing the template, performing the crowd operation on template can only be done if the email ID is this one. See, that what you can implement using role-based authentication. But for simplicity, we are going to right develop the logic in such a way that if the user is logged in with this credential, then he can only perform the right admin operations. So next, what I'm doing here, I have added a few product, one product, two product, three, four, five product, and we have already renamed this one. So what I'm doing here, I'm making this as a template. So these are my order invoice templates. So let me give this as a templates. So these all are my right, what I can say entities for which I want to create the database table. So let me copy this one and paste it here. Clear, guys?
Yeah,
This
clear,
is
sir.
you might have some doubt regarding this admin rate example.com. I'll show you this thing practically how we are going to write the logic so that if the user is logged in with this credential, then he can only able to access the admin section. That logic I'm going to show you. But for now, these are my DB context and this. Next, what I need to do, I need to register my right application to use right. SQL Server connection string, and at the same time, right, I also needs to tell how to use that SMTP server. So my database is going to be, so let me give this time my e-commerce DB a different database, and right, this is my SMTP server, Google SMTP server. This is my port number, whatever the sender name you want to provide, sender email address. So in this case, right, and this is my Gmail app password. So you cannot use your Gmail password. So for this purpose, you need to use your app password. So this thing we have already discussed how to create, right, your Gmail app password and all this thing. So now for time being, what I'm going to do, I have already created this thing. So let me copy this information and I use it here. You know, guys, how to create a password or not? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Right? So we have
Yes, sir.
already discussed this thing many times, right? You need to enable two-factor authentication and you need to generate the app password. So that password you need to use here. Okay. So once this is done, next what I need to do, we need to register our configuration and authentication, right? So let me go ahead and replace this main method code. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to use, right, first of all, I'm registering my DB context. We use SQL Server database and the connection string is coming from the app settings with the name default connection. Second here, what I'm going to use, guys, remember, I'm going with the cookie-based authentication. So in the authentication scheme, right, authentication services, builder services, right, what is the default authentication I'm specifying? The default authentication is cookie-based authentication. So now, if you go to this one, then you will see that the property name is going to be cookies. So basically, I'm going to implement cookie-based authentication, right? So like this, right, if you want to go with, right, what I can say, uh, identity, I mean JW based authentic, peer based authentication, token based authentication, basic authentication, whatever authentication you want to use, you can use. We have already discussed JWT authentication. We have already discussed that basic authentication. So this time what I'm doing, I'm going with the cookie based authentication. So cookie based authentication means in the cookies only the authentication information it is going to store. So as this is a web application, this cookie-based authentication is also going to work as expected. So in this case, if the user is not logged in and if he try to access any, right, any resources or any pages for which authentication is required, then in that case, automatically the user will be redirected to the login action method of a account controller, which we are going to create in some time. So basically, in this case, we are mentioning that we are going with the cookie-based authentication, and in this case, if the user are trying to access any page for which authentication is required, but the user is not yet authenticated, in that case, the user will be redirected to this login action method of account controller. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right? And the rest of the things are going to be very simple, very straightforward. So, and yes, you have to use this authentication and authorization, right? So this authentication it means for validating the user credential. Authorization means for role-based authentication. Means this is related to your 401 and this is related to 403. So unauthenticated, unauthorized, and this is for forbidden. Right? So these are the services that what you need to register into your program.cs class file. So with this, right now you can generate the database. So let me go ahead and generate my database. Okay. Add migration one. That's what I need to do. I need to update the database. Now if you verify, then you should have seen this my e-commerce DB database. So okay, so I have deleted that e-commerce. Okay, then if I have not any e-commerce DB, then I can give this name. No issue. So our settings, e-commerce DB. Then now you can generate this one. Now, as you have right to modify the database structure, then you should see a different structure. Different in the sense that template table name is coming like this, right? So that what we have changed. So we need to update our document accordingly. What I need to provide here, right? So this is going to my updated database. Clear, guys?
Yeah, clear, sir.
So this is going to my templates, customer, product, order item, and payment. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 table. Okay. Now with this, now what we need to do, we need to provide the customer login and registration, right? We need to provide the customer login and registration. So for this purpose, how many view model we require? So one view model for the user registration page, another view model is for the customer or user login page. So in the registration page, what are the data we need to take? First name, email, password, phone number, and billing address. You can add another rate property called confirm password. Simplicity, I'm not taking that one. And for the customer login page, we need to take this email and the password. So first, let us create the view model and which is required for the user registration and login functionality. So for this purpose, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a view model. So this is going to my view model. So you can see my view model. So inside this view model, what I'm going to do, I'm going to provide this right registered view model that CS class file. So registered view model. So this registered view model, it is going to have right this information, whatever you want to store in the database. So for customer name, it is a required attribute. Email, it is a valid, required as well as must be valid format. Password, it is going to be password. I mean, it is going to be displayed in dotted line. Phone number we are taking and a billing address also we are taking. So these are the information that what we are going to take from the client. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right. So next one is login view model. You know how many properties are going to be there inside that model. It is going to have two properties. So let me go ahead and create these two properties, login view model. So in this case, you can see this is my login view model, which is going to take two properties. One is email, another one is password. Clear? Any questions? So these are the very simple and straightforward logic, nothing to be right worry about. So next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create my account controller, and this account controller is going to provide the functionality for creating right new user, providing the login functionality, providing the sign out functionality. Right. So let me go ahead and create my controller. And also, at this point of time, right now, we need to implement here. Once the user is login, we need to implement cookie-based authentication. So let us see how we can implement cookie-based authentication. So this is going to be my registered get action method, which is renders the registration page. That registration page is going to be something like this. Once the user provided this information and click on the registered button, then that information I will receive as part of my registered view model. And here what I'm doing, I'm checking whether the model is valid or not. If the model is valid, then I'm checking whether the email ID is already taken by any customer. If it is already taken, we need to return this message, email already registered, and we need to return. And if the email is not taken by some other customer, then we need to create a new customer with the provided customer name, email, password, phone, and billing address. In production, guys, please try to store the password in as format. And then we need to add the customer, save the changes, redirect the user to the login page so that he can log in and provide the credential to login, and then right he can access the resources. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right. Next one is my login method. So this login method is going to render this screen right? That is, he will ask the user to enter the email and a password. So once the user provide this email and password, click on the login button, then this is the login action method, which is decorated with HTTP post attribute, going to handle the request, right? So let us see how this method is going to implement cookie-based authentication. See, so you know how to check the password and email. So in this case, what I'm doing, am I going to make any changes to the data? No. So for that
No.
purpose, what I'm doing, I'm using as no tracking. So I'm checking whether any user is available or any customer is available with the provided email and password. If available, then this method is going to return me data. If this customer is not equals to null, means this is a valid customer. If null, then we need to provide this invalid login attempt and we need to return to the same view by displaying this error message. If the customer is valid, then what we need to do? First of all, whenever we are going with any kind of authentication, right? So particularly token-based authentication, cookie-based authentication, then in that case, what we need to do is we need to store some kind of a claim information. So we need to create the claims which are going to be stored in the cookies. So in this case, what all information you want to store. So for that purpose, you need to create a claim object. I mean a collection of claims. So I want to store the customer name identifier means in this case, this is going to be the unique identifier. The name identifier, don't consider that this is going to be the name. So anything, any information, wherever you want, you can store. So name identifier, in the name identifier, I'm storing the customer ID. In the name, I'm storing the customer name. And the email claim, I'm storing the email. Right? So basically, I'm creating a list of claims where I'm storing the customer ID, customer name, and the email address. So once I have created the claims, right, then what is the next? Then I need to create the claims identity. So to this claims identity, what I need to do, I need to provide my list of claims. And at the same time, I need to tell how these claims are going to be authenticated. I mean, what kind of authentication mechanism we are going to implement here. Now, we are going to implement cookie-based authentication. So in the second parameter, right, on this claims identity, we need to specify what authentication mechanism is this. So in this case, it is going to use the cookie-based authentication. If you are working with the token-based authentication, then you have to provide that authentication name or right, that is going to be PRR. So in this case, it is going to be cookies. So cookies-based authentication we have implemented. So once the cookie-based authentication is there, then we need to sign in the user with the created identity. So in this case, what I'm doing, right, I'm calling this sign in async method. And to this method, right here, HTTP context means, so whatever the cookies I have provided, I mean, whatever this information we have provided, and whatever the claims identity we have provided, right? I mean, this claims identity, which is not only containing the cookie-based authentication, but also the list of claims. So those are going to be signing with the authentication scheme. So in this case, this authentication scheme is nothing but cookie. So what exactly it means? It means in the cookies, right? You know what you mean by cookies and sessions. So in this case, in the case of cookies, these informations are going to be stored. So later on, if you want, you can access these cookies. I'm also going to show you how you can access these cookies information, right? How you can check whether the user is authenticated or not. Right? So now, whatever the authorized attribute I'm going to use, they are also going to make use of this authentication cookies. So from this authentication cookies, right, they can access all the information. Currently, we are not storing any role. If you want to store the role claims, that is also possible. So first of all, you need to create the claims which you want to store within the identity. Once you have the identity, then you can sign in the user using the authentication scheme. And once the user is authenticated, you can redirect it to any other pages for which, right, whatever your default page from which page you want to redirect, that what you can specify. Later on, from this claims identity, right, or you can say claims principal identity, user principal, right, all these things you can access, right? How to access, we will see. So for now, we just do it in three steps. First of all, we create the claims. Second, we create the claims identity. While creating the claims identity, I need two information. What are information? What are the list of claims? Second information, how this authentication is going to be handled. I mean, what is the authentication mechanism? In this case, authentication mechanism is going to be cookies, and then we need to sign in the user. So once I sign in the user, right, then that user principal object is going to be created. That user principal object going to contain all these claims, and later on the authorized attribute going to use that user principal object, right, to check all this information, whether the user is authenticated or not, whether the user having proper role or not, right? All this information, right? Later on, the authorized attribute is going to handle all this thing automatically. Even if you want, right, somewhere within the application, you want to check what is the customer ID. We are not going to take the customer ID again and again. Then how we can handle this from the user's identity, right? User's principal object, right? We can access this customer ID. How we can do this thing, we will see that. So now, once the user click on the logout button, then again, what we need to do is for sign in, I'm using HTTP context dot sign in async. Similar to sign out, I have to use sign out async method. And again, in this case, whatever cookies are stored on the right client browser machine, all the right cookies are going to be deleted. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
So that is what the cookies based authentication we have implemented. And now, right, next what I need to do, I need to create the respective views, right? For example, I need to create one registered view. So go to the Razor View engine. So click on this add button. So this will create my Razor view. This view is going to create a new user. Okay, so this is my registered. So here the things are very simple. So this is one right form I have created with the method post. Action method this controller by default it is going to be account controller. If you want to provide that controller name, that is also possible, right? How? So in that case, you can provide something like this that account controller. So I'm taking the customer name, email, password, phone number, billing address, and I'm having this registered button. And if you have already, right, what I can say, the authentication credential, you can click on this login here to redirect the user to the login page where he can login into the application instead of a registration. So this is my page. Next, what I need to do, I need to create my login page. So just go down here, right click, add view, add this one. So this will create my login view. So in the login view, I need to provide two text boxes and one button. Text boxes is going to take the email ID and the password. So email ID and password. And if you do not have that email ID and password, you want to create a new user, I mean register yourself, you can click on this one. So again, in this case, you can also specify what is your right controller name. So that controller name is going to be in this case account controller. That what you can also specify. So clear, guys?
Yeah, clear, sir.
So once this is done, right, next what I need to do, I need to manage the order and the payment flow. So order and the payment flow. Now if you look at this one, right, once the user is registered, we need to display this list of order. And we need to provide the user to place one order. For placing the order, whatever the unit price, I'm not going to take this unit price. So rather than what is the product ID, what is the quantity the user is selected, and what is the customer ID. So this information is required for creating a new order or not. What is the customer ID? How many products the customer is selected, for which product how many quantities is being selected, that product ID and quantity, that is going to be a collection of order item, that what we need while I'm going to create a new order or not,
Clear, sir.
right? So basically, order create view model I will create, which is going to contain a list of order items, and order item view model, which is going to contain a single line item. So basically, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one model, view model. Within this view model, I'm going to have two class file, which is going to represent the total order. So let me go ahead. So this is my class file, order create view model. So to this class file, I have provided these informations. So this is going to my view model. Here you can see I'm I'm not taking the customer ID. See, if you are developing web API application, you have to take the customer ID. Why? because based on the customer ID only you are going to create the order. But this is a MVC application. Customer ID from where we will get from the cookie, because we are implemented here cookie based authentication. Cookie based authentication means if the user is authenticated, then we can get the customer ID. If user is not authenticated, we should not proceed for order creation. Rather than we need to redirect the user to the login page. So in this case, we are not taking the customer ID. Why? Because we will get the customer ID from the key. Then list of order items, and here the order items are going to be right. Each one is going to contain the product ID and the quantity. Now, it might be one question. So then, what is the use of this one? Why not you create this as a collection directly? Yes, you can do it, but later on, if you want to take the shipping address ID, right, some other information related to the right order, then you cannot do that here. So for that purpose, right, as per the industry standard, I'm going with the appropriate manner, right? So that is what you can do. For example, if you are maintaining the shopping cart, then what is the shopping cart ID? That what you need to take. How you can take that? So in that case, you can provide that right order related master data here, and this entity is only for the order item details. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Next, what I need to do, I need to create my order controller. Let me create the controller. Right. So in the order controller, how many views we are going to implement? So we will implement one list page where I will show you the list of orders placed by the customer. One is going to be this page where right we will place the order. So this order place means it is going to have two action method. One is for displaying this data, the get method. Post method is for taking this information, creating the order. After the order is created, we need to redirect it to this payment get method. The payment get method is going to render this page, and again this payment post method is going to there, which is going to process the order. And after the payment process method process the order, he will redirect the user to this order placed successfully page. So these are the different five methods, so five or six method that what we are going to create next. So let me go ahead. See. So we'll create one index action method. For creating the order, we have two action method. For placing the order, we have two action method. For giving that order completion information, we are going to have one action method. And we will provide one action method for generating the invoice. Right? Generate invoice means you can see here also I'm going to provide this download invoice option. So for this purpose, I'm going to create one action method, and I'm going to create some helper method for generating the PDF file. So let me go ahead and replace this, all these things. Okay. So please try to observe. So in this case, what I'm doing, I'm injecting two services. One is context. Definitely it is required for interacting with the database. Another one is configuration. Why? Because in this case, in the app settings.json file, we are storing our email settings. So without these settings, I cannot send the email. For sending the email, I have to read this information. So for that purpose, I'm also configuring, right? I'm also injecting the I configuration, or you can say configuration service to the class, or you can say controller. So using this context object, I can access the database. Using this configuration instance, I can access the properties, or I can access the values from the configuration file. So this is my index page. So this page is very simple. So please try to observe, right, what I'm doing here. In my account controller, I have registered the user, right? Sorry, I have logged in the user using this HTTP context.site. So in this case, I have stored all these claims. Now, to read these claims, right, what I'm doing here, user. So this is nothing but my claims principal. So this claims principal means whatever all claims I have added, those claims I can access using this claims principal. And to this claims principal, what I'm doing here, I'm specifying the identifier name which is holding the ID. So which identifier holding the ID? So claims types dot name identifier. So that claims types dot name identifier I'm providing. So in this case, what exactly it is going to do? it is going to check whether this user claims contains any of this identifier. If yes, please retrieve the value. And in this case, that value is going to be a claim. So in this case, this if this value is not present, I mean null, then that means the user is not logged in. So we need to redirect the user to the login method. If it is not null, then whatever the value is associated, in this case, this is the key and this is the value. So for this claim object, this is the key and this is the value. So what I'm doing here, from this claim object, I'm accessing the value, and that value is nothing but my customer ID. Clear how I'm accessing the right data from the claims?
Yeah, absolutely clear. So,
Right? So similarly, if you want to access the email, if you want to access the name, that what you can also access. This is not any issue. Now once you got the customer ID, can you access all the orders associated with the customer? Yes, that is possible. How? The simple state dot orders as no tracking. Why no tracking? Because it is a read-only operation. So include the order items where the customer ID is this one. Clear?
yeah, clear, sir.
Right? Then what I need to do, I need to provide this data to the view. Later I will create how this index view, how to create this index view. That is what we are going to discuss later. So next, what I'm going to do is, this is my create method. So create means I want to provide this page. So basically, this create method you can consider this is your cart page. So that order search functionality, all these things I have not provided, but let assume this create method is nothing but your cart page. Whatever items you have added to your cart, and whatever items you have added to your cart, so those items are going to be displayed in the cart page. So how this is going to be displayed? Something like this. So here, for simplicity, what I'm doing, right? Whatever products are available in my database, so those product list I'm going to show you here. You can increase and decrease the quantity. You can also remove the item from this cart by clicking on this remove button. So that is what I have provided here. So this is going to create my order create page. So first of all, whatever all items are available, those items I'm fetching, and then I'm creating the view. So from this view back dot products, you can say this is going to be your cart items. So from this cart item, I'm going to create this view. So whatever items I have added at product name, whatever the unit price, quantity, whatever we have selected, we can increase and decrease using plus and minus button. Item total going to be calculated dynamically based on the quantity and the unit price. Accordingly, the grand total is also going to be calculated. So this page we are going to create inside our create method. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right. So once the view is created, right? Then once the user here, he can remove, he can add, he can increase, decrease size, and click on the right place order button. So once the user click on the place order button, this post action method is going to execute. Again, what I need to do, I need to check whether the model state is valid or not. So here you can see I'm using this order create view model, where I'm going to check this order items. Right. So if this model state is going to be valid, then that's fine. Otherwise, what we need to do, we need to retrieve the ID, customer ID from the claims, user claims. If customer ID is not available, we'll redirect the user to the login page. Otherwise, we can fetch the customer ID. So once we got the customer ID, then what we need to do, right? We need to create the order number. So one dynamic order number I have created. So this is going to be my order object. So whatever the customer ID, order number, order date, order status is going to be by default pending, created date, and list of order items that what we need to validate. So before that, right, what I'm going to do, I'm creating a variable to hold the total amount. I'm looping through all order items. I'm checking if the order quantity is less than equals to 0. I should not continue, right? I mean, right, in this case, right, for example, right, as in this case, we are showing all the items. Some of the items quantity might be 0. If the item quantity is 0, we are not considering that as a right item to be purchased as part of the order. So that's what we need to remove. So if the quantity is greater than 0, then based on the product item dot product ID, we need to fetch the product information. If the product is not available, we can continue. Right? If the product is available, then we need to create one order item with the provided fetch the product ID, whatever the quantity the user is selected, and whatever the price that what I need to fetch from the product. And then, so once I fetch this one, so we have already this total item property. So to this total item, so whatever the order item dot unit price, sorry, order item dot what I can say, total we need to add. So this total we have already created. If you remember order item, so where is that order item? So we are having this total. So that total I can use here. So if you don't want to use total, then what I need to do? You need to use this one, item quantity multiplied by product price. So that what you can also do here. So once the total is created, then we need to add this order item into the order items collection that what we have created here. And this will execute for all the order item. And finally, once the order item is set, then we need to set the order total amount. The order total amount is coming from this variable. And then we need to add the rate what I can say order to the database and redirect the user to the payment page. While I'm redirecting, I'm taking the order item. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right? So once the order is created, right, then we are redirecting to the customer to the product phase, right?
Hello, sir.
Sorry, payment phase, right? So in the payment phase, yeah, anyone having any question?
Earlier, how in which case the product can be null, sir? You told
So,
me
so your voice is not clearly audible to me. Anyone read clearly understand what he's telling or what he's saying?
like in which case the product can be null it here.
In which case the product can be null? In this case,
Yes, yes.
what is your query?
Like you told product equal to null, na, sir. Actually, the product when we are moving from
So your
the
voice,
product can't be null, na, sir.
I'm not getting what you were asking. Please put that
I
question
mean,
on the
the
chat
product
box.
will always be there, na, sir. It can't be null, na, sir.
It can't be null. Why it should not be null? So you just tell me what is the scenario when it is going to be null. So in this case, this is your user interface. Can I inspect the element? Can I modify the product ID to some different value? Yes or no?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So in that case, suppose that product ID, whatever you modified, if that is not available, then what will happen here?
Okay, okay, okay. Fine.
It's always secrecy. Whenever you are developing the application, blindly you cannot trust any data until and unless it is not verified in the database, right? So now this is payment method, which is I'm taking a order ID I'm receiving. So based on the order ID, I'm loading the order and the customer information. Why I'm loading this order and the customer information? Because in the payment page, right, I need to display this information: order, total amount, payment. The customer data I'm not displaying. So this customer information you can also ignore here, right? So as if I'm not displaying, then why should I load this customer information, right? So next one, right, once I load the order information, if order equals to null, then I should not proceed. If order is available, then I need to store this order in the viewback, and this viewback or this payment screen is going to display this screen, right? So whatever the order, total amount, whatever the payment method, that is going to be a drop-down list. That's what we will create, right? So now it is going to display, and for this page, whatever the data is required, order number and the total amount, those information I can access from the order ID. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right. So once the user is processed this payment, right? For example, this payment is processed and click on the pay now button, right? Then this is the method which is going to be executed. So what this method is going to do, please observe, retrieving the order information, including customer from the database. So from the database, right, it is fetching the customer details, including the order information. Why I'm fetching the customer details this time? Right, so why I'm fetching the customer details this time? Because I want to send the email. Sending the email, that customer email ID is required. That shipping address is required, right? So for that purpose, now I'm including the customer information. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right? And then I'm checking here what is I'm creating a variable to set the payment status, and that payment status is going to be set based on the payment method. If the payment method is payable, I'm setting this order. See, and here, why I'm not using the as no tracking? Because I want to update the order status. So in this case, you can see order status is going to be cancelled, payment status is going to be failed. If the payment method is COD, cash on delivery, order status is going to be pending, payment status is going to be payment. Other than this PayPal and COD means it is going to be completed status. And once the order status is updated, and once we decide the payment status, then what I need to do? I need to create a payment object, order ID, amount paid, payment method, payment status, payment date, and then I'm adding that payment into the context of it. And then I'm calling this exchanges method. Clear?
Yeah,
So
clear,
if the
sir.
payment gateway gets delayed, what you will do with the status? It's pending.
Sorry.
So the payment gateway, the response from the payment gateway is delayed.
See, that is
In
what
that
I have
case,
done now. See, that is what I have shown here. So based on the payment
and
gateway response, you can write the logic accordingly.
say if you're not listening the payment gateway response,
So I'm
it's
not integrating any payment gateway, na? So how I can write? So that question you should not ask at this point of time. So how you can handle the payment gateway response? Did you attend that e-commerce application what we developed using ASP.NET Core Web API?
yes, sir.
So how to simulate that payment gateway response? Am I explained? Am I explained or not?
I will go through it, sir, once again.
Right? So in this case, right, what I'm saying, I'm not right. I'm just simulating, right? If the user selected PayPal, I'm setting this order status. If it is COD, I'm setting this order and payment status directly. And if it is right other than PayPal and say COD, then I'm setting. So now in your case, if you are not getting the payment response from the right, what I can say, payment gateway, you have to mark that right status as pending only.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And that's what we have already discussed, right, in our right e-commerce application, what we developed using ASP.NET Core Web API. But now we are just simulating this scenario. Any scenario, see, anyhow, either you will get the payment status as by default it is going to pending, or then you might be get the payment status as pending, failed, or success. Whatever status you got from the PG, accordingly you need to update. If you are not getting any response, no need to update. Why? By default it is going to be in pending state only. Clear, guys?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right? So this part I will discuss in some time. Next, what we need to do, we need to place the order. Right? The order is being right. Once the payment is completed, we need to call to this order placed method. So here I'm taking the order ID. So this is my order placed method. So this method is going to render this page, right? So this page is going to display all this information, right? And this time I'm using the no tracking. So order items, product, customer, order ID, all this information I'm retrieving and I'm passing to the view. And the view is going to render all. So what is the order number, order date, status, total amount, order items. And here you can see that the customer information is not rendering. So you can also ignore this customer, right? So if I'm not retrieving any information, if I'm not using such information, then why should I load those data? Is that required? Not required. So product information is required? Yes, required. Why? Because I need to display the product name. Order items required? Yes, required. Why? Because I want to display, right, that list of order, quantity, unit price, all these things. Order information, definitely it is required. Clear, guys?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Similarly, if you want to include that payment information, what is the right payment method, payment status, right? So that part, if you want to include, then you can also include that. What I can say, that payment, right? Include, right? Oh, such that. Guys, tell me. Oh, that payment. That what you can also include. So if you want to store the payment information, that is fine. So now, so this is done. And now what we need to do, once the order is placed, before rendering this successful page, or failure page or a pending page, we need to generate the invoice and we need to send that invoice to the customer. For generating the invoice, right, I have created one right helper method that is generate invoice right PDF async. So I'm just calling that method, and that method will take the order ID. So based on the order ID, it is going to right generate the invoice PDF, and that invoice PDF binary data it is going to return. So basically, whenever we are going dealing with the file, PDF file, image file, we need to return the data in the form of a byte array, right? So here, what I'm doing here, please observe, I'm loading all the information for invoice. So order items, product, customer, right? Also you can include that payment information if available. Payment information is not always available, so you can write. Uh, if you want, you can include, otherwise you can write, you can remove. So now, if the order is present, that is fine. If the order is not present, right, here what I'm doing, retrieve the associated payment record if it's available. So why should I access this payment again and again? Then why not we include that payment object here directly? So I can directly include that payment object here, right? Why should I access that again one more time? So order dot payment. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right? So now you can simply ignore this statement. So now, so we have already changed this in template type. So we have renamed this to template type. So whatever changes we have done, please do accordingly. Right? So let me show you what I have done. So once the order is available, then what we need to do, we need to check what is the or what kind of invoice I need to send. If the order status is completed, then what I need to do, I need to send this invoice. So let me put this if else condition so that you will get more clarity. If the order status is completed, what invoice I need to send? I need to send order completion invoice. If the order statement, if the order status is cancelled, what invoice I need to send? I need to send order cancel. If it is not completed or cancelled, then what invoice I need to send? I need to send the pending invoice. So basically, first of all, I need to decide what type of invoice I need to send. So that basically going to be defined by the order status. If it is completed, cancelled, then completed invoice. Cancelled mean order cancelled, otherwise it is going to be pending invoice. Clear? So now this template variable is going to hold the type of invoice that what we need to right send it to the customer. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Next. Next, what I'm doing here, I'm creating once you got this template, then can I access the actual invoice from my templates table? So from this template table, based on this template type, can I access the actual HTML content which I need to convert, which is going to contain some kind of placeholder? By replacing that placeholder with the actual value, can I generate the PDF from that HTML and send that PDF to the client as an attachment? Yes, that is what we need
Yeah,
to do. Right. So for that purpose, what I'm going to do, first of all, from my templates table, I'm going to fetch the template information, that is the complete ID template. So we are mainly going to deal with this HTML content, right? So that template information we are going to fetch from the database. So once we got the template, if it is available, I mean whatever the uh, template type we specified, if this is valid and available in the database, that is fine. If not available, we need to give this error that this invoice is not available. So once we got the template, then what I need to do? So in this case, as we are using this one for generating the invoice, right? Then definitely this helper method is particularly for generating the invoice. So invoice means in this case, definitely it is going to have some list of order items. So what I'm doing here, please observe, this is my product list HTML, right? So to this product list HTML, what I'm doing, I'm creating a variable And inside that variable, whatever order items I want to put as part of the template, that what I'm storing here. So item, product name, quantity, unit price, total. So this information I have stored within this variable, and it is a loop inside a loop. That means it is going to create multiple TRTD for each item. So if there are two items, three items, this loop will execute two times, three times, and for each item, it will create a separate TD. And the TD is going to have one tier, and inside the tier, it is going to create four columns, right? So tier means table row, tier means table columns, and this is part of your table element. So this variable, what exactly it is going to hold? It is going to hold the HTML element for the list of order I. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right? And then once this is done, right, then what I'm doing, I'm just completing this tier and okay. So next what I'm doing here, I'm checking, right, I'm checking right, and then I'm going to replace that HTML content. So whatever the HTML content is there, so inside that HTML content, if you look at this one, yes, so this is going to my HTML content, it is not clearly visible, right? It is going to have some kind of a placeholder, right? Some customer name, order date, right? Some kind of a placeholders, right? So it is not coming fully. So what I'm going to do is the PDF, this is not coming clearly. See, you can see we are having some kind of a placeholder, customer name, order date, order number, order date, product list. So this product list, what we have created, that will be replaced with this product list HTML. Right? And apart from this, right, you can see we are having other placeholder, customer order, order date, order status, all these things, right? So what I'm doing here, I'm replacing that customer name placeholder with my actual customer name, order date with this data, order number with this data, order status with it. I mean, whatever the HTML content containing this placeholder, that placeholder will be replaced with this data. So this replace placeholder, it is basically a custom method what we define, and that method is going to append this open and close curly braces with this placeholder, and that placeholder is going to be replaced with its actual value, right? So next, what I'm doing here, please observe. So once I have provided the basic information, then I need to check whether the payment is available or not. So order. So in this case, what I need to do, I need to check order dot payment is not equals to null. So if the payment is not equals to null, then what I need to do, I need to also put the right what I can say. Uh, I need to also replace the payment status, payment method, and payment date with the actual information. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Next, what I'm doing here, I'm going to use, right, what I can say, IronPdf. So, and using this one very simple. First of all, create an instance of this Chrome PDF reader, and using this instance, call this render HTML as PDF method. And to this method, you need to pass this what I can say, write this object, and this is going to return me a document, and that document binary data we need to return. So if you want to store this document PDF file somewhere in your machine, right, within the system, you can store. Otherwise, you can return the binary data. And this is the license key what I'm using. So for this purpose, right, for now, comment this one. So I will show you both the options, right? If you comment this one, how the template is going to display. If you use this one, then how it is going to be displayed. Clear? So basically, this method is
Yes, sir.
going to return me the binary data of the PDF file. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right? So once you got the binary data into the PDF file, so this generate invoice method, right, here you can see. So not this one, which method we have called generate PDF async method. So this method we are using, right? So once you come to this place, so this is done. Okay, we have written the binary data. So from where this method is being invoked. Okay, so this is my payment method. And from the payment method, I got the binary data. And once I got the binary data, I'm calling the send invoice email method by passing the email ID of the customer name, order. See, in this case, right, order object I'm passing to this email subject, email body, and the PDF file. So this is my data. That's what I'm passing. Now here we need to understand these two methods. What is the email subject and what should be the email body? So let me go with the email subject. So if the order status is completed, what will be the subject? Your invoice order, whatever your order number is completed. If it is cancelled, that subject I'm going to display as cancelled. Otherwise, it is going to display as pending. So this is going to be right based on the order status. It is going to create the right what I can say the subject line. And similarly, once right you have the subject line, next what you need to do, you need to prepare the email body, because for the different status, we need to have a different body. So in this case, in the case of completed, I need to display this message. Thank you for your order. Your order has been completed. If it is cancelled, we need to give a different message that we regret to inform that your order has been cancelled. If it is pending, right, we just need to message this one, right, dear customer, right, please find that as inbox for your order number or whatever, right. So that message you want to give, that what you can give. So with these things, right, now our email body is there, our email subject is there. This replace placeholder method is going to replace the HTML, right, with the HTML placeholder with the actual value. And now we need to call this send invoice email method. So this send invoice method, what exactly it is going to do? It is going to fetch the SMTP server port number, sender name, email, password from the app settings.json file. So this is my JSON file. From here, it will fetch all the information, right? Then it is preparing the mail message in the from whatever the sender email and whatever the sender name you want to provide. In the two, it is providing the two email address. Subject, whatever the subject I received as input. HTML body, this is my HTML body. Each body HTML, I mean, is this content some kind of HTML? That what I'm going to store here. I'm adding the attachment. So for that purpose, right, you can see I'm getting this binary data, PDF attachment binary data. So this binary data I want to add as an attachment. So message.attachments add new attachment, new memory stream, and whatever your binary data, that what you need to provide. Whatever the name you want to give, you can provide, and what type of a file that is going to be generated, that what you need to provide. Similarly to this, you can attach multiple PDF, you can attach multiple attachment of different types. For example, some image file you can attach, some Excel file you can attach, right? So that is what right, whatever things you want to do, you can do it here. Multiple also are possible, right? Then once this is done, next, what I need to do, I need to create an instance of SMTP client. To this SMTP client instance, we need to provide the SMTP server and whatever the port number. Client credential means using which credential you need to send the email. So in this case, what is your sender email, and whatever the password, what you fetch from the data, right from there. Enable SSL, and finally call the send mail async method, which is going to send the email. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Right. So now along this line, right, we are also going to provide this option, right? In the order list page, we are going to provide this download invoice one. So when the user click on this download invoice, at that time, we only want to download the invoice. You don't want to send an email to the, right, what I can say, customer. So for that purpose, what I'm doing here, I'm using this generate invoice method. So this invoice method I'm setting this send email value is false. By default, it is not going to send any email. If you send the send email value as true, then it is going to send the email. See, in this case, what exactly it is doing. So I'm using this generate invoice PDF async method, what we have discussed now. So that method is going to create the, right, what I can say, invoice. Okay, that method is going to generate the byte, I mean the PDF byte binary data. Here I'm checking whether the send email is enable or not. If it is enable, then what I'm doing here, right, I'm fetching the order information and checking if this is available, then I'm sending the email. Otherwise, I'm not sending the email. So whatever the binary data is there, that's what I'm going to return as a file. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
And so this is my order controller. Let me go ahead and copy this code. Okay. Next, what I need to do, I need to create the views. So let me go ahead and create the respective views. So okay. So this is my index view. Let's give me. Okay. So let me go ahead and create my index view first. Okay. So this index view is going to display the list of orders, right? Whatever orders are created, that list of orders are going to be displayed by this index view, right? So there is nothing special. Here you can see if any order is available, that list of order it is going to display. If no order is available, then it is going to display this message. If available, then what is the order number, order status total, and whatever the action, that what you can see. This information it is going to display. So if the completed, then different class file it is applied. For cancel, that red cap, or if it is pending, a different class file it is going to apply, so that you will see the status in different color. For completed, this is the, for red cancel, this is, for pending, this is coming, right? So different class file I have applied. So this is my total amount, and here I have provided one option, download invoice. And when it is being clock, it is calling this generate invoice action method. So this generate invoice action method is nothing but the action method what we discussed here. So this one, which is going to only generate the invoice, but it will not send the email, right? So that is what it is going to display. So clear? This time, this file is clear.
Yeah, clear, sir.
Next, what I need to do, I need to create HTML. So create means order create page. So order create page means this is the page that what we need to generate, right? So let me go ahead. First, let me create the uh, view. So this is my order creation view. Go ahead and add this view. Right? So in this view, right, what I'm going to do for calculating these things dynamically, right, removing the item, increasing the quantity size, calculating the item total, calculating the grand total, I'm going to use the JavaScript and the jQuery. Right? So that JavaScript function I have written here, and and the rest of the things it's going to very clear, right? If no products available, then no products available. Otherwise, whatever products you have added into the cart, those information it is going to display here, right? And here it is showing whatever the product price, unit price, item total, and quantity and actions, right? And here it is using a for each loop to to display the buttons, right? So all the buttons that what it is going to display, right? Variable products of I, that means first element, or the first element, right? It is displaying the product name. You can see this is going to my product name, and then whatever the unit price, the second one you can see this is going to my unit price. Third one is here you can see this is the third one, right? So in the third section, I'm going to have, right? I'm going to have some kind of a buttons, right? So how many buttons are there? So by default, one button. then by default it is going to show me 0 and another button. Here you can see this button, it is going to visible as minus, this button it is going to visible as 0, and this is going to be a span element which is going to tell how many items are being selected. And this is the input hidden field, right? This field I'm not showing here, but this field, hidden field, is going to contain this value. So whatever the value, I mean, if you click on this plus, that is going to be displayed here, but that value is going to be stored inside this hidden field using JavaScript and the jQuery. So that is what I have provided here. So minus button, plus button, and whatever quantity you selected, that is one. And for that purpose, this span element is for displaying purpose, and this input element, it is going to be hold the actual quantity which we will use, right, whenever the formula is submitted. Clear? And how to store
Yeah.
the value to this property. So that is what we are going to achieve using JavaScript. So this is the item total. So the next you can see this is going to my item total. So by default it is 0, and based on the plus and minus button, right, minus button, plus button, right, based on this button, this value is going to be increase and decrease, right? And this is my remove button. So this remove button means it is going to remove this row altogether. It is going to remove this row altogether from the page. So that is the use of this remove button, right? So now, and at the end, right, I'm having this grand total. So here it is going to show me what is the total amount, right, of the selected items, right? Whatever the items which quantity is greater than which quantity is greater than 0, that total it is going to display here. And all this thing, and finally this is my place order button, which is going to be this one. When the user click on this place order button, the order is going to be placed, right? So now what is important? Important is how we can handle all these things. Let us try to observe, right? So first of all, what I'm doing here, I'm right fetching that table element. So in this case, you can see that table what I have created here, that table is going to be my order table. What is the ID? ID is order table. Within this table, I'm storing all these elements, right? And when the DOM is loaded completely, then please fetch the order table. And here I'm fetching the data by ID. If this table is not available, then don't do anything. If this table is available, then what you need to do? You need to access the grand total element, right? So this is the ID. So based on the ID, I'm fetching that. So here I'm using JavaScript. You can go with also jQuery. That is not a issue. So once I fetch this grand total, right? So this is nothing but you can say table ID. So using this one, you can access the table, whatever the table element within the HTML. Using this variable grand total, I can access this, what I can say, this H4 element where I'm going to show the total. So these two things, right? So this is a function which is basically going to recalculate the total. So recalculate the total every time you, right? So this function is means what? It means every time we click on this plus button, minus button, remove button, right? So this grand total is going to be updated or not with the updated data. So that means whenever we perform any operation, whether we increase I mean, whenever we click any of this button, minus button or plus button or remove button, every time we do any operation, we need to calculate the grand total. So for that purpose, I have created one method, recalculate item. So in this case, right, what I'm doing, I'm taking the unit price, whatever the unit price, whatever the selected quantity, input quantity. If the quantity value is there and which is not equals to 0, and what I need to do, whatever the unit price into quantity, that what I need to calculate, that is going to be item total. And that item total, right, I'm going to fixed with the two, yeah, I mean, after the decimal point maximum two, right, what I can say, uh, what exactly it means, the two decimal point it is going to store. And in the item total, right, class file, it is going to set this as the right value. So is there any class which we have, which we have, which is decorated with item total? Is this the class file where we are going to show the item total?
Yeah.
So this is my item total. So whenever we do any modification, plus, minus, whatever, so we need to display, we need to update this item total or not. So that what it
Yeah.
is going to
Yes.
recalculate item total. So based on this value, whatever the unit price, whatever the quantity, if it is, if the quantity is having some value and if it is not equals to, right, I mean, after parsing this value, if it becomes zero, right, if it is a valid value, that is fine, otherwise it is going to be zero. So zero means that item total is also going to be zero. So this method is basically going to calculate the item total, and this is going to be my grand total. Grand total means by default I have initialized one variable with zero. I'm selecting all the t body with tr. So all the t body with tr means in this case this is my t body and this is my tr. So how many products are there? For each product, one tr element is going to be there. Am I right?
Yeah. Absolutely right, sir.
Right. So each tr element I'm accessing, and here using this tr element I'm using a for loop, for each loop. So that means this loop will execute for each rows available within this t body. So in this case, what I'm going to do, so in each row, do I have this item total?
Yeah.
So if I sum this item total red columns, then can I get the grand total?
Yeah. The submission will be granted. Yeah.
That is what I'm doing here. So whatever the item total value I'm fetching, and that item total value I'm passing into integer, and then if it is not available, then that is zero. And that item total, whatever I fetch, that what I'm adding to this grand total. So finally, whatever the grand total I got, that what I need to set where within this uh, span ID. What is the span ID? Grand total. So in the grand total text element, I'm setting this grand total. Clear?
Yeah. Clear, sir.
Right? So this is the method which is going to calculate, right? I mean, whenever a row value is changed, so this method we need to call whenever a single right thing is changed. I mean, if you click on this plus button or whenever you click on this minus button, so calculating this particular row value is not enough. Along with this row, I also need to calculate this grand total or not, because if the row value is going to be updated, then grand total is going to be updated. So this time, what
Yes.
I'm doing here, when I'm calling this method, I'm going to pass the row. So it is going to calculate that particular row total value. Also, once it calculate that particular row total value, it also needs to calculate the grand total value. Clear?
Yeah. Clear, sir.
Right? And this is the event listener, which is going to be fired whenever the user click on the plus button or minus button. This method is going to be fired whenever the user clicked on the plus button or minus button. Right. So in this case, if the user click on this plus button, this logic is going to be executed. If the user click on this minus button, this logic is going to be used. If the user click on the remove button, that is going to be used. So basically, this click event, if you look at this, right, this click event means it can, this button has click event, this button has clicked event, and this button has clicked event. So whenever the user click this button, or this button or this button, that click event is going to be fired. And this is a submit button. So submit button means it will not execute that event. Right? In this case, submit, so there is a difference between button and button type submit. So submit means it will submit the form to the server. And this is a button, and this button type is not submit. It is a type of a button. So it is a type of a submit. So this method is only going to be execute whenever a button of a type button is clicked, not a button of a type submit is clicked. Submit means that will submit the data to the server. I mean that form is going to be submitted to the server. That is create action method of order controller, which is decorated with the post. But in this case, when I click on this button or this button or this button, this method is going to be executed. So in this case, first of all, it will check. Right? So what is the target class, right? Which class button is being clicked? Is the target class button content minus? So in this case, right? In this case, if you look at this button, so is this button is decorated with a class file quantity minus. In this case, the button is decorated with the class file quantity plus. And in this case, right, the class file is decorated with the class item, remove item. So based on this class file, whatever we provided, we can decide whether the plus button or minus button or the remove button is being clicked, right? So in this case, if the target class list contain this quantity minus means minus button is being clicked. If it is quantity plus means plus button is being clicked. If it is remove item means that remove button is being clicked. So if this minus button is clicked, then what we need to do? Whatever the current quantity, that what we need to reduce by 1. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir. Clear.
Right? So that is what we are doing here. So whatever the row, corresponding row I'm fetching, from this row I'm fetching the quantity value, and whatever the input is
Okay.
provided. Sorry? Anyone having any question? Right? So this is the quantity span where I need to show the input element, and this is my right quantity input, whatever the current value. So this quantity input value, right, I'm passing into integer type. If this value is greater than 0, then quantity minus minus. If it is not greater than 0, already it is 0, then we do not need to do anything special. Means if 0 is there, if you click on the minus button, nothing is going to be happening. Means I'm not going to reduce the quantity value by 1. If it is greater than 0, then only the quantity value is going to be reduced. And once it is reduced, right, then we need to set whatever the, for example, there are two quantity, we reduced 1, so it will become 1. If there is 1, it will become 0. If it is already 0, we do not know, right, we should not reduce this by 1 so that it should become minus 1. So minus is not acceptable. So 0 means that is going to be 0. So once we got the updated quantity, that what we need to set within this quantity span, and also that what we need to set in the, right, what I can say, hidden input field. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
So after this, whatever the row, that what we need to pass to this recalculation method, so that calculate item total and the grand total is going to be calculated. The same thing I'm doing with my quantity plus, but here, right, I'm not going to check whether the quantity is 0 or not. Simply I need to increase the quantity by 1 and call this method. Clear?
Clear, sir. Clear.
And this is my remove method, means that row is going to be completely removed from the, right, what I can say. That row is completely going to remove from the T table. And then I'm calling this recalculate grand total. So once the row is being removed, so calculating that item total is not required because that row is itself removed. So we only need to calculate grand total. So that method I'm calling here. Clear?
Yeah, clear.
So guys, that's it for today. Remaining concept we will discuss tomorrow, right? How to implement that payment page, right? How to implement that order placed, how to implement this rated template parts. All these things we will discuss tomorrow. As I mentioned yesterday, it is a 2-day session, and tomorrow is the next session. And after tomorrow session, I will share the document, not today, because I have done some changes. Right, those changes needs to be updated, and the correct document I will share. Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir. No problem.
Anyone having any question?
Nice project, sir. I love the project, sir.
Thank you, guys. Yes, guys, this is going to be, right, this is going to give you a completely real-time application. And again, that functionality you can enhance. Enhance in the sense, we have already discussed that a domain knowledge. Domain knowledge in the sense, e-commerce application domain knowledge we have discussed. So that knowledge, what you learn, now you can input here. You can enhance this example, right, with the knowledge what you learn with ASP.NET Core Web API. Okay, thank you, guys.